All right, everybody, welcome back to the Business Exchange, the show where we dive into the ideas, peoples, and innovations shaping industry and redefining the future. I'm your host, Joseph. Today's episode is a powerful one, especially for business owners, healthcare providers, and leaders looking to unlock new revenue streams while staying aligned with purpose. So we're joined today by Nancy K. Coy, managing partner of Finance RX Venture Studio. Nancy brings over 25 years of experience in consumer and patient lead lending, helping organizations design financial systems that not only increase revenue, but also expand access, improve outcomes, and create real impact. She operates in the intersection of finance, faith, and forward momentum. And today we're going to unpack how smarter lending models, better systems, and even AI are transforming how business grows. Nancy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joseph. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's really good to have you. All right, Nancy, so you talked about something called the money conversation. What is it and why is it such a critical moment in business?
Well, the money conversation as it applies to really any business, but my primary vertical is healthcare, is that today, Joseph, 53% of patients today that want or need care are not accepting the care because of affordability. And this is a moment in healthcare that has really never been managed. We've never really understood how the money conversation framework really needs to happen. So the money conversation was created to bridge the gap between diagnosis and decision. And so patients could move forward primarily with healthcare, dentistry, but again, this applies to literally every single business.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So you have to say the breakdown happens between diagnosis and decision. What do you mean by that?
Well, what happens in healthcare, specifically in dentistry, is that today most patients in the United States, and to a certain degree even in Canada, patients think that insurance is going to cover the treatment protocol. And so we bring the patient into the practice, we schedule the appointment, patient meets with the provider, and then the patient moves on to the conversation where we have to talk about money, and that's when the patient often finds out that insurance isn't going to cover the majority of the treatment protocol, or they're going to maybe it's half, or maybe it's even 60%, but a lot of times there's a pretty big financial responsibility of the patient. So that's really what we call the bridge between diagnosis and decision. The bridge, again, is that money conversation to be able to help patients to afford the care prescribed.
Gotcha. Good. So why do so many businesses struggle when it comes to discussing money with customers or patients?
Well, it's one of those funny things that a lot of it comes down to alignment, that we just refrain from the money conversation, and funny it kind of it's almost head trash in a lot of cases where people think that consumers don't want to purchase something because of money. Well, a lot of times it has nothing to do with money. It has to do with what I call really, it's an acronym that I have, it's actually in my book, but it's called GRIP, and it's growth, relief, identity, or protection. And usually people fall into one of those four categories. So it's a matter of defining what really is operational, or the driver, if you will, for this particular person and what their issue is. So figuring out what is really applicable to one particular person over another really helps to close a transaction. And again, it's often not money.
Right, gotcha. So you created Finance RX around solving this issue. What exactly does Finance RX help organizations fix?
Yeah, Finance RX was really designed to be the company that bridged that gap, that helped providers, merchants, again, healthcare, dental teams to understand the money conversation appropriately, because there is a lot of regulatory complexity that goes into the money conversation when it, especially where it's related to healthcare and dentistry. So Finance RX became the vehicle to teach, educate, and help providers be able to have that conversation in compliance and do it the right way. Because when you're dealing in healthcare, we're dealing really with a couple of regulatory bodies. We've got HIPAA, we've got UDAP, and then we have lending, right? So it makes it a little bit more challenging. So Finance RX really does meet all those needs.
Oh, excellent. So your upcoming book has a bold title. Stop selling, damn it. What inspired that message?
Well, it came from because I think that people don't want to be sold. And I think we're in a different world now where the high pressure quota, go after the person, stay on top of them like crazy and they say yes, that day is over. And I think there's been a paradigm shift. And so my whole point was stop selling. And my youngest son, a lot of people will say, well, the apple didn't fall far from the tree, and there's probably a little bit of value in that, but he has been unbelievable in his career trajectory in a sales capacity. I mean, far exceeding his counterparts. I mean, to the point of a lot of people within his company have taken notice. And he read the book last night, and he called me last night, and which is one of the highlights I probably will take away from this in years. But he said, Mom, I'm on chapter 8, and I have to say this book is exactly what I do. This is exactly what I've learned how to do. I've never really sold. I've really got into alignment with people, and I've met my clients where they are, and I don't lose business. My business just continues to grow. And he's 26 years old, and again, his numbers are phenomenal. I mean, he'd probably shoot me if I told you how over and above his quota he really has always been. And so he said, this is just, you're teaching a different way. You're not knocking sales, because I'm not at all. What I'm just saying is there has been a paradigm shift. This needs to be, we need to do this different, and we need to stop selling. We need to solve, Joseph. We need to solve for people, not sell them something that they don't want or need.
Yeah. People certainly don't want to be pinned down anymore until they say uncle.
Right. And for a lot of years, that was the thing. As soon as you heard yes, it was close the deal, don't say anything else. I actually have a different mindset with that. I call it surface the friction and ask that additional question. I'm not saying ask 5, but I'm asking why, because we want to make sure that, again, clients are in alignment. And when they're in alignment, well, when people trust converts. And when you keep clients and you stay in integrity, you keep clients and they trust you, not only will they buy from you today, but they probably come back. And people move in their career. I mean, it used to be, right, people would go to work for somebody, they'd stay there forever. That's not the case anymore.
No.
And so now they take you with you. And my son Nick has experienced that, where his clients end up going somewhere else, and they end up taking him with them. Which,
excellent.
Yeah, so it's working smarter, not working harder, but it's working harder a little bit in the beginning because you have to listen.
Yes. So on that note, why do you believe the traditional idea of selling is actually hurting businesses today?
Because I think that there is, what we have never really had the data in a lot of cases to prove, is we were focused on a quota. And we were chasing a lot of times this quota number, but what we weren't looking at is residual business. We weren't looking at churn as much.
Yeah.
And I think today, especially with this social environment that we obviously all live in, that it's so easy for people to put negative reviews in a social environment, and what does that cost you?
Yeah.
So it's just, I think that's what's really changing and needs to change for really the growth of solid organizations. The other thing that happens when we change our mindset and we move from selling to solving is we increase our EBITDA.
Yes. Yes. Excellent. So, can you share an example of a business that improved results simply by restructuring the financial conversation?
Oh, sure. In fact, I was blessed to have a client, a very large aesthetic client. Uh, they are national in scope, and when I went in, this is in 2016. I actually went in I've been using this framework for a long time, uh, and this particular client, they actually wrote for my first book, they wrote an endorsement for it because the way that I talked to them wasn't like I was just there just to sell something. I was like, let's figure out how to do this and let's solve. I wasn't using that framework. I wasn't using that language at that time, but I was doing that. But anyway, we increased. I mean, this is a multi-million-dollar company, and by using the money conversation correctly, we increased their revenue top line 8%. And that was a big number when this is a national company. And it was just a matter of putting the right lending structure in place, the right loan products for their demographic, putting the right loan product in place for their patients and guests, is what they used to call them, appropriately. And as a result, the numbers really reflected. And training their team how to do it right.
Right, right. So, for business owners listening today, what is the one thing they can immediately do to improve their money conversations?
You need to have you need to have a strategy. A lot of companies will embrace one loan product and say we have a lending program. That's not a lending program, that's a loan product. You need to have a lending strategy. And if you're going to close business, lending isn't one size fits all. Every customer is different. Every transaction is different, even though it may be the same product or service and it costs the same. There's always different dynamics because of just humanity and who we are and the needs of our customer base. So having one lender is often a single point of failure. And because it's not one size fits all. Not everybody fits into one bucket. So again, it's a matter of having a strategy so that you can design what works for that product, for the lenders, for everybody, but most importantly, the consumer or the patient.
Gotcha. So, how do you see AI impacting your company and your industry that you're serving?
Oh, it's incredible because to be transparent, FinRx was actually acquired. There'll be press releases coming out by another company, and we're not ready to talk about the next company yet, but it's in process. So I mean, it's really a good thing. So the yeah. So the impact of AI is unbelievable because this new technology that has been built, Joseph, it's taken 6 to 8 weeks to build this entire platform, which is truly off the chain. I mean, it's built cutting edge, unbelievable, where I've built 2 platforms for 2 previous companies, or been involved in. I didn't build them. That's an incorrect statement. I actually was involved in the design. How about that? Because I'm not a developer. I want to be clear here. But one of my previous companies, it took 3 development companies, and it never ever got done 100% because these companies couldn't figure it out, and that was over a 2-year period. This new technology is 10 times what that was. We probably had 30 developers on the previous technology, and like I said, they just couldn't figure it out because it was over their heads. And today, 4 developers in 6 to 8 weeks, and it's done.
Yeah.
So how do I think it's impacting? Well, your MVP gets, you can get to market so much faster. You can do so much more, you can do so much more faster with just, your costs are just so much lower. And that is one of the biggest reasons that, startups struggle. My first startup is done very, very, very well. And we built the platform for that technology, and that platform, that company still continues to thrive and does very, very well today. But the second one, it struggled, and a lot of it was technology. Had we been in this world today, because we were growing like crazy, it's just you can run out of money pretty quickly. When you're spending a boatload of money on tech, and our burn was high, and our tech build was taking forever and ever and ever. And today, we would have blown it out of the water.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So what advice could you give to any other entrepreneur in scaling their business and so forth?
It's a great question. To entrepreneurs, and I coach a lot of entrepreneurs because I have a program called Kingdom Ventures, and I coach women. I don't charge for that, but I coach women all around the world the first Tuesday night of the month. And we talk a lot about being an entrepreneur and really what you need to do. And I think that in today's world, you have to have, number one, you have to have a really well thought out plan. I'm a firm believer in a lean canvas. I don't know if you're familiar with that terminology, but
No.
it was a Deloitte, it's a Deloitte program, but you can get lean canvas almost anywhere. And really it's the 9 steps of how to create a successful company. And Joseph, I've had some huge successes, massive successes in tech, and I've had some real struggles too. And I've had some companies that didn't do so well. But I've learned. And one thing that I do know is you have to have a really, really well thought out plan. That would be the first thing that I would say. The second thing I would say is that you need to know that 65% of businesses fail due to co-founder disputes. You need to know who you're partnering with and be very, very clear, because you're putting your heart and soul into usually business. And then probably the last thing is that this really is a business. And one of the best things that I did, even just a couple years ago, is I went through an incubator. And I would have thought that I had a lot of this figured out. I've been a CEO a handful of times, and I've built, a couple, really, like I said, pretty successful companies. I've been, it was my idea, and we built it with a team. But you always need to be learning.
Yeah, for sure. So where can listeners learn more about your work with Finance RX and the ideas behind Stop Selling, Damn It?
So you can find me on LinkedIn under Nancy K. Coy. You can certainly find me on nancykcoy.com, and then FINRX Studio.com. So yeah, those are usually the best ways the less places to find me.
And your book's not available until May?
It'll be out. We're doing pre-orders right now are on Kindle for $5.99. It'll go to $9.99 as soon as the book is actually released May 7th, and then the paperback will be $19.99. The hardcover will be $32.99, and it releases May 7th. We're pretty excited because the pre-reviews so far have been phenomenal. So very excited.
Oh, that's excellent. I'm actually looking forward to getting a paperback copy. I'm a bit of a hard copy guy. I don't like reading off computers and screens like a whole book. So
No
anyway.
worries. Well, I'm glad. I hope you enjoy it.
Yes, perfect. So Nancy, this has been incredibly insightful. You've given us a whole new perspective on how financing, and more importantly, the way we talk about money, isn't just a transactional moment. It's a defining moment in the customer journey. For everyone listening, if you're not intentional about your money conversations, you're not just losing revenue, you're losing opportunities to truly serve your customers at a higher level. Nancy, thank you for your time and being on the Business Exchange.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joseph. A pleasure.
Yeah, and thank you. So, and to everyone turning in, if you found value in this episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, take care.